Baltimore Ravens 7-round mock draft because it's mock draft Monday. Here we go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing the Ravens content every single day. If you want to see that daily Ravens content, especially in the offseason, mock draft Mondays, every single Monday, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers before next season starts. We're almost at 4,600 right now, so that'd be very cool if we hit it even earlier. But in this video today, like I said, mock draft Monday. If you're new to the channel, new to the series, every Monday in the offseason, from day after the Ravens lose in the playoffs, so we did one last week, I put out a mock draft, 7 rounds, no trades, every single Monday. In the comment section down below, let me know your thoughts on my picks. Let me know your mock drafts and players you want me to scout. I keep a list on my phone of players I need to scout from the comment sections that you guys tell me. Also, we're 2 weeks into the offseason, right? Really about 8 days. I have not scouted every single player in this draft. So if I draft a player that has an injury problem, if I draft a player that you think, hey, he actually has this issue, please let me know. Again, very new into the scouting process this year. I don't know all of these players. Obviously, I watched them throughout the college football season, but not with the eye of if the Baltimore Ravens draft them, 137th overall, what would be the outcome? I'm not thinking about that. Now I am. Let me know if I have any problems with players or if you really like the picks. I always like to hear what you guys think. So with all that in mind, let's get into the first round. When I was looking at this first overall pick, unfortunately, you guys aren't going to like it very much. I decided to go the Ravens way. What that means is a player that I think is so talented and so good fell that not necessarily at the biggest position of need. It's not an edge, and it's not a wide receiver, and it's not an offensive lineman. But I felt that this player was too talented for me to let slip by. So I passed on guys like a Jack Sawyer, a wide receiver like Alec Iamaner, the tackle out of Oregon. I did not draft. Instead, I saw a cornerback that I watched all year, and I was like, this guy's unbelievable. And then I scouted him after the fact. I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm remembering this right. I went with Jahdae Barron out of Texas. This guy is one of the best defensive backs in the country, and he can still fill a role on this Ravens defense, right? You look at what we have. We have Brandon Stevens potentially leaving. We don't know if we're keeping our Darius Washington. The expectation is we are, but Jahdae Barron is a corner or he is a safety. He can play either. He also played a bit of linebacker at Texas, but he's not playing linebacker in the NFL. He's a corner or he's a safety. The Ravens can use both of them as starters because if you want to have our Darius play over top, you can easily put Jahdae Barron on the outside. You can put him in the slot. You can put him on a tight end. You can put him on an outside wide receiver. He can do it all. He's not undersized. He's 5'11". He's not the biggest corner in the world, but he's got unbelievable ball skills, great instincts. He's physical. He's a tackler. He does everything you want in a Baltimore Ravens cornerback. He's a very different player than a Nate Wiggins as well. He's not the unbelievable speedster Nate is. He's a little bit different. He's a little bit older than Nate as well. But he could come in, start on this defense with Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, and Kyle Hamilton and our Darius Washington. That would be the best secondary in the NFL. I look at what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing with their secondary. They got 2 rookie cornerbacks starting for them, and they're in the Super Bowl. I think the Ravens could have a situation where they have second-year corner, first-year corner, and then obviously the all-pro Marlon Humphrey alongside 2 very good safeties, and this defense will be monumentally better, and they were already pretty good in the second half of the season. So I thought it was best player available. I had to go with him. That's how good I think he is. The other corner out of Eastern Carolina was also available, but he is coming off of a torn ACL. His film isn't necessarily bad. I like Jahdae Barron a little bit more, so I went with Jahdae, and he's not coming off of an injury. But next pick, round 2, pick 59, I was looking at wide receiver. I was looking at edge. I was looking at the positions of need, right? And another player that I was like, dang, this guy's available. He fell. And that was Cameron Williams, offensive tackle out of Texas. Again, I was not trying to draft 2 Texas guys. But overall, Cameron Williams is one of the better tackles in the draft. Obviously, he's not as good as his teammate, who's probably going top 5, top 10 in the draft. He's still very, very good. He was a starting tackle for Texas in the SEC, played very well. He could go early second round. He fell to the late second round. And again, tackle, we could use that as a potential starter next year if we don't keep around Ronnie Stanley. If we do keep Ronnie, I think we could still end up drafting a guy like Cameron Nash if we have Ronnie on a 1 or 2 year deal, have him work underneath him, maybe shift him over to guard in the meantime. But this guy's a true tackle. This is not a guard. He's got the size. He's like 330 pounds. I think he's about 6'5, 6'6. This guy's someone that could start right away. Not necessarily be, the best tackle in the world, but I think I look at a Roger Rosengarten pick. That's what a Cameron Williams pick could do for the Baltimore Ravens offense. So I went with him. Again, best player available. I haven't gotten an edge, haven't gotten a wide receiver. That's exactly where I'm looking in these next 2 picks. That's exactly where I went as well. So round 3, pick 91, looking at the players available. I was looking at wide receivers, and there's one guy that I knew the name. I had to watch the film, had to make sure, hey, he's right, because this guy was, I'm not going to lie, he was the best receiver in college football last year. I'm sorry to Travis Hunter, but this guy should have won the Bolitnikoff Award. That is Nick Nash out of San Jose State. Obviously, it's a smaller school, but he was a Triple Crown winner last year, meaning most touchdowns, most receptions, most receiving yards. He was dominant. The other thing is he's 6'3". We'll see at the combine and everything else if he actually is 6'3", but he's listed at 6'3", so we're going to talk about him like he is right now. But he's physical. He can catch the ball with his hands, right? He extends the hands, brings the ball in. He's one of the best contested catch makers in the country. He was the best slot receiver in the country. That's the other thing. This guy plays in the slot. He's 6'3" and he's a slot receiver. And his quarterbacks could find him every single time. And one of the things that I looked up, because after I watched them, I look up scouting reports just to make sure that I was, on the right tracks. And I looked up a scouting report, and it said relies too heavily on the short and intermediate routes. And I'm like, that's exactly what we need. His weakness is that he's too reliant on things the Ravens offense is reliant on. He's not the guy that's going to extend the field. He's not going to get the 70-yard, deep ball. Instead, he's going to catch those quick slants. He's going to catch those deep digs. He's going to catch crossers over the middle of the field. That's exactly what Lamar loves to throw. That's exactly what the Ravens need when we have two of Lamar's go-to guys on the last year of their contract with Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. Obviously, they're going to be here this year, I assume. But in the years to come, Lamar Jackson needs that kind of bigger body that he can find over the middle of the field. And Nick Nash was exactly that for San Jose State. And he has the size to play on the outside. He just played in the slot at San Jose State because that was the offense. He could play outside. He can run a dig, but he's not going to be a sideline guy. He's not going to be, a deep ball guy. He could be a jump ball guy 25 yards down the field. He's very good at high pointing the ball. But again, he's not a body catcher. He's a physical hands catcher at the point of attack. So can do exactly what the Ravens need out of a wide receiver, fits the build. I absolutely love Nick Nash in the round 3 or round 4, depending on where he ends up going. I'd be a fan if we brought him to Baltimore. But like I said, we want wide receiver. Next, we got to go edge. And now we're getting into day 3, so I'm going to kind of go a little bit faster talking about these players because we do have 11 draft picks. But starting off round 4, pick 127, I went with edge rusher Braden Swinson out of LSU. He's been at LSU the last 3 years. He's been very good at LSU. He can stop the run. He can bend around. He's very athletic. This is not he's going to get 10 sacks his rookie year, but he is an athlete. You can develop him, but he can still produce right away. He has that kind of athleticism, very quick and very strong. He can win with a bull rush. He can win with bend on the outside with a great first step. Again, doesn't have a ton of pass rush moves that he has, put to memory, but he does have enough where he can win with his athleticism. And again, we're not using this as our first round pick, developmental pass rusher with a high upside. I'm down with that in the 4th round. Next up, I went with a linebacker. I went with Cody Simon out of Ohio State. The Ohio State University. Got to give respect to the national champion. I think we need a linebacker. We don't know exactly what we're doing with our second linebacker position, and getting somebody that can be a backup, learn under Roquan, learn under whoever we end up having start. Because last year, right, we had Trenton Simpson at the beginning of the year. We ended up switching it up. We started having Malik Harrison. We started having a bunch of other vets kind of fill in and work with it. Cody Simon could just sit in that back room, learn from all those guys, potentially become a starter down the line. But again, he's decent in coverage. He can stop the run, does what a Ravens linebacker needs to do. Good depth at a position of need for depth at linebacker. So very happy with that selection. Next up, round 5, pick 176, Dylan Fairchild out of Georgia. This is an offensive guard. He played left guard. What more do you want me to say, right? SEC guard, day 3. We do need guards. We don't know what we're doing with our left guard, Patrick McCarry. We obviously have Voorhees. We have Daniel Faalele. We have Ben Cleveland on, we need to figure out if we're re-signing Ben Cleveland. So getting another backup guard, because a lot of ours are leaving, that's what we need. He's not going to start right away, but we don't need him to. Day 3 guards are not for starting right away, unless it's a guy like Andrew Voorhees, who was, a round 2 projected player that ended up, missing his entire rookie season. So we took him in the 7th. But I'd love if we got a guard in the, day 3. We have a ton of day 3 picks. So why not get one then? Next, round 6, pick 183. I went with the safety. I know I did already draft one DB in Jahdae Barron, but if we don't end up keeping our Darius Washington, getting another safety would be highly beneficial. If we have a situation, knock on wood, where someone in our secondary does end up going down, I think RJ Mickens could step in. He has ball skills. He can play the pass very well. He can get in the box. He can cover tight ends. The exact kind of versatile player that the Ravens defense loves. He'd be able to sit behind our Darius and Kyle Hamilton and, be that third safety if needed. But again, having depth at the safety position in the secondary is going to be valuable, especially if Jahdae Barron and him were able to come in and use their versatility together, kind of make each other better, just like we did when we drafted, Nate Wiggins and TJ Tampa, right? You draft 2 guys so that they can kind of learn the system together. Jahdae can play outside. He can play over the top. He can play inside. RJ Mickens, he can play over the top. He can play in the box. Having both of them learning the defense at the same time would benefit both of their development as well. Round 6, pick 203. I decided to go with another wide receiver because we have so many picks in the round 6. I think we have 4 or 5 round 6 picks. I went with a wide receiver out of Missouri. Unfortunately, not that wide receiver out of Missouri. But I went with Theo Weiss Jr. Big body wide receiver, 6'2", 6'3". He can block. He can route run. He can catch. We need wide receivers. That's really all we need to know at this point, right? We don't know who we're keeping as our backup wide receivers. Obviously, I like Tez Walker. Tez Walker is better than Theo Weiss Jr. But getting a backup for Tez Walker, getting another special teams guy like Theo Weiss Jr., that would be beneficial in my opinion because, again, we don't know what we're doing with Tyler Wallace. We don't know what we're doing with Nelson Aguilar. And those are really the only wide receivers outside of our 2 stars that play. So we need to get more guys. We need to get more bodies in this room. Theo Weiss Jr. does that. Next up, round 6, pick 209. This was somebody that was commented. So again, comment guys that you want me to look at. I looked at him. I knew who he was. I was surprised that he's a round 6 guy. Kobe Bryant out of Kansas. Cornerback, can make plays with the ball in the air. I think he's a very good player. And again, we don't know what we're doing with a lot of our cornerbacks. TJ Tampa's been injured. I like TJ Tampa a lot. Brandon Stevens is expected to be leaving. Pepe Williams is gone. Jalen Armour Davis, we really don't want him on the field. He's probably gone really soon. So, again, getting another guy that we can develop in this secondary with good size, decent enough athleticism to play on the outside, I think that would be beneficial. Again, round 6, you're not getting day 1 impact players. You're getting players that you can help hopefully develop into players, or they're just good backups, right? Guys that can play special teams, guys at positions of value that tend to get injured a little bit more, which cornerback unfortunately is. Again, knocking on wood. But Kobe Bryant, I think, would be a good pick. And don't think I forgot about the defensive line. Round 6, pick 213. I decided to go with Tonka Hemingway out of South Carolina. He had 5 sacks last year. He can play. He mostly plays over the B gap, but he can play over the A gap as well. We need depth on the interior defensive line. He can play kind of outside. He can play inside. Again, he's a big body, mostly there to stop the run. But again, he did have enough production as a pass rusher to where, hey, maybe that's a little bit of an upside, right? He's not a Michael Pierce type. He can get you a couple of sacks in a year if he ends up becoming a starter. But I do like the depth because, again, we don't know what we're doing with Broderick Washington. We obviously have or Michael Pierce, expected he's retiring, but we have our 2 starters, right? We have Beeks. We have Travis Jones. Getting another depth behind them, giving them a rest. Tonka Hemingway would do that. And then finally, there's no way this guy's falling to pick 245 in the draft, but I saw him available, and so I took him. Colin Oliver out of Oklahoma State. I don't know what's going on with that, but he's one of the best pass rushers in the country. He missed most of this year with a foot injury. Like, honestly, I don't know. He's one of the best pass rushers in the country. Crazy quick twitch, get it off the line. He can win. He played in 2 games. He had 2 sacks. He's one of the best pass rushers in the country. I have no idea why he was here this far, but I took him because I don't know. He was available. Maybe he's going back to college. I honestly don't know. Somebody please comment down below why Colin Oliver is sitting there round 7, pick 245. I think that's unbelievably ridiculous. I was baffled at that. I saw him and I was like, what? But I'm going to run through the draft. Again, I'm putting all the names up on this side. Wow, I'm really this side. I apologize that you guys had to watch that. So I'll read through them though. Jahdae Barron, Cameron Williams, Nick Nash, Braden Switson, Cody Simon, Dylan Fairchild, RJ Mickens, Theo Weiss Jr., Kobe Bryant, Tonka Hemingway, and Colin Oliver. Again, comment your mock drafts down below. Let me know your thoughts on my picks. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe, road to 5K, and I'll see all of you again tomorrow. And if you haven't already, check out my video I did on Todd Monken's extension. Put it out right when it happened. So, right in the middle of the day. But check it out if you're interested in my thoughts. And I'll see all of you again tomorrow.